Good morning, friends. Happy Friday. It is April 3rd, and I'm stoked to jump into word study with you. Word of the day. 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 Today's word of the day is frequent. There will be frequent opportunities for you to fix your work throughout this lesson. Go ahead and write down what you think frequent might mean based on that. All right, finish up what your best guess is for the definition of frequent. There will be frequent opportunities for you to fix your work throughout this lesson. So I know if I'm looking at the sentence, I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what frequent is, but frequent might mean more than one, like lots of opportunities for me to fix my work throughout this lesson. Well, let's see. Yep, frequent means occurring or done on many occasions. So if you say, I make frequent trips to the grocery store, that means you go to the grocery store a lot. If you say, my dog frequently pees on the rug, that means that your dog pees on the rug like all the time. Frequent means occurring or done on many occasions. All right, cool. We will return back to that later. So today's focus is going to be on subjects and predicates and nouns and verbs. Now, usually we talk about these things separately. We talk about subjects and predicates, and then we talk about nouns and verbs. But I wanted to talk to you about all of them together so we don't get super confused. Because they're similar, but they're not entirely the same. So let's look at the sentence. Jim eats lots of food. Now, the subject is what the sentence is mostly about. What is this sentence about? It's about Jim. And the predicate is what the subject is doing. So what the subject is doing or being. So what is Jim doing here? He's eating. So we've already found the subject, which is what the sentence is mostly about, and the predicate, which is what the subject is doing or being. But there's also nouns and verbs in the sentence. A noun is a person, place, a thing, or idea. What's a verb? It's an action word or a being word. What's the subject? What the sentence is about. And the predicate is what the subject is doing or being. So let's go back to the sentence. Jim is the subject, but Jim is also a noun because a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. Eats tells me what the subject is doing. So I know eats is the predicate, but eats is also a verb because it's an action word. Words can be both nouns and subjects, and both predicates and verbs. How about lots? Is that a noun? Nope. Lots is not an idea, person, place, or thing. Is it an action word? No. Neither is up. How about food? Is food the subject? No, we already know that the subject is Jim, but food is another noun. So this sentence has one subject and two nouns and a predicate that's the same as the verb. Okay, a little bit confusing, but we are going to continue and see what we can figure out. All right, so let's see where the subjects, predicates, nouns, and verbs are in each sentence, and we're going to label them. And we're going to do 5 together, and then you are going to do 5 on your own. Okay, let's begin. I like bananas more than mangoes. We'll do this one together. Who is this sentence about? It's about me. I am the subject. What am I doing? Well, I'm liking. So, like is the predicate. Well, I also know that liking is an action. So, this predicate is also a noun. So, I'm going to make it a little bit purple too. Remember, a word can be a predicate and a verb at the same time. I like bananas more than mangoes. Now, are bananas and mangoes our subjects? Nope, the subject was me. It's about me. It's not about really the fruit. But bananas and mangoes are both nouns. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight mangoes. Oops, sorry, like is not a noun. like is a verb. So I is a subject and I is also a noun. Like that's my predicate, but it's also my verb. Bananas more than mangoes. Okay, your turn. Number 2. Orion and Melissa eat cake. Who or what is the subject? Orion and Melissa eat cake. You should write this down on your paper and then write S next to the subject, V next to the verb, P next to the predicate, and N next to the noun. Now, this is a little bit tricky because the subject, there are actually two. It's not more about Orion or more about Melissa. It's about both of them. Orion and Melissa are both our subjects. What are they doing? Well, they are eating. So eat is both our predicate and what else? And our verb. So I'm going to make it a little bit red, a little bit blue. How about cake? Is cake the subject? What is cake in the sentence? It's the noun. So I'm going to make that purple. Sandwiches are better than hot dogs. Now, that's just my personal point of view. Hopefully, you agree. What is the subject in this sentence? Sandwiches are better than hot dogs. Label your subject, label your predicate, label your noun, label your verb. Excuse me. Sandwiches are better than hot dogs. Well, the sentence is mostly about sandwiches. Sandwiches is the subject. Are. What is are in this sentence? Well, that's actually the action word because an action word can be about doing or being. So are is our predicate. And if it's a predicate, we know that it is also a verb. Sandwiches are better. Is better a subject, verb or predicate or noun? No. Then hot dogs. What is hot dogs in this sentence? Hot dogs is just another noun. So I'm going to go ahead and make that purple. Now, I want you to think for a second. Why is hot dogs just a noun? But sandwiches, why is sandwiches the subject? Because the whole sentence is talking about how sandwiches are better than something else. So sandwiches are the main point. If it had started with hot dogs are worse than sandwiches, then hot dogs would be the subject. Usually the subject is going to come first in the sentence. Mr. Scott sings the song each morning. Who is this sentence mostly about? It's mostly about Mr. Scott. That's my subject. What is he doing? He's singing. So singing is two things. It is my verb and my predicate because it's what the subject is doing. The songs each morning. Well, part of speech is songs. It's a noun because it's a thing. How about morning? Also a noun. Nice job. Last one. The clock in my classroom ticks. The clock in my classroom ticks. What is this sentence mostly about? The clock, it's a noun and also my subject. In my classroom. What's a classroom? Is classroom a verb? Nope. Is it a predicate? Nope. It is a Noun. And how about ticks? Well, what is that clock doing? It's ticking. And I know that the clock was the subject of the whole thing. So tick is both my predicate and, so sorry, and a verb. Okie doke. Now you're going to have to do these to a couple of your own sentences. But right now we're going to go back and add adjectives to these sentences just to make them more fun. We're going to make the adjectives yellow. Okay, what do adjectives do? What do adjectives do? Adjectives explain more about nouns. Adjectives are describing words that describe nouns. So now we're going to go back and we're going to add an adjective into each of these sentences. I'll show you. I like bananas more than gooey mangoes. Gooey is a word that talks about mangoes. I could also have added an adjective for bananas because even if it's a subject, an adjective can still modify it or describe it. I like delicious bananas more than gooey mangoes. All right, Orion and Melissa eat cake. How can I add an adjective to modify or describe one of those nouns? Orion and Melissa eat cake. How can I describe the cake or Orion and Melissa? Well, I think I want to describe the cake. Eat vanilla cake. Sandwiches are better than hot dogs. How can I describe those words? I'm going to say sandwiches are better than slimy hot dogs. Mr. Scott sings the songs each morning. I'm going to describe Mr. Scott here because even though he's a subject, he's still a noun. So I'm going to say silly Mr. Scott sings the songs each morning. That's an adjective because it describes the noun, and the noun is Mr. Scott. The clock in my classroom ticks. I'm going to describe one of those words. The broken clock in my classroom ticks. All right, so your exit ticket is going to be working on these sentences and adding in your own, and adding in your own describing words as well as telling me which part of speech is which. Okay, now we're going to pause right here and go on to our contraction of the day, which is there, there, and there. Now we went over they are there yesterday, and that's kind of a tricky one because there's a bunch of different homophones that sound the same. There means they are there. And that always has an apostrophe. They, apostrophe, R-E. Now, when I see there, like T-H-E-I-R, it means they own it. It means it's theirs, like saying that's their dog or that's their friend. Now, T-H-E-R-E means a location. So that's pretty tricky because there's 3 different types of theirs and you need to make sure that you spell them all correctly. So I'm going to give you an example for each. They're coming to my party. That makes sense because I could stretch out that word to go they are there. Every time you have they apostrophe R-E, it means you have to be able to stretch it out into they are, and it still needs to make sense. Okay, now their, T-H-E-I-R, means they own it. How can I talk about something they own? That's their pizza. It's theirs. T-H-E-I-R means it's theirs. They own it. Now, T-H-E-R-E is a location. I lost my jacket there. There, THERE, talks about a location. Okay, so your exit ticket today is going to be to come up with one sentence for each of the there, and there, and to do this exit ticket. I'm gonna have to put it right here. Don't peek for the dictation. You label the nouns, adjectives, verbs, subjects, and predicates. Then add an adjective to each sentence. And the other thing you're going to do is come up with a sentence each for there, and there. So just to review, so you know exactly what you are doing for this work, you are going to go in and label the noun, which is a person, place, thing, or idea, the subject, which is what the sentence is mostly about, the predicate, which is what the subject's doing, and the verb, which is the action word. Remember, predicates and verbs are usually the same thing in each sentence. Then you're going to add an adjective. And an adjective is a word that describes a noun. When you're done with that, you're going to come up with a sentence each for there, and there. Okay, but first, it's time for dictation. So take out your pencils, draw a line on the paper from where you were working, get ready. One thing I do not want is a knot in my hair. One thing I do not want is a knot in my hair. One thing I do not want is a knot in my hair. All right, get ready to check your work. One thing, one is O and E because I'm talking about the number one. I do not want, an OT, want is a knot, KNOT, in my hair. All right, team. This is where you should pause the video. This is your exit ticket. So you are labeling all the parts of speech. Remember, a subject is also a noun and a predicate is also a verb. So some of your words are going to have two labels on them. Then when you're done labeling, you can add an adjective to each sentence, but only make sure that the adjective describes not the noun, not the verb, but the noun. Then you're going to come up with a sentence each for there, and there. Remember, they are there. THERE is a location, and THEIR shows that you own something. All right, have a great weekend.